Hey folks, this is Paul again from Easy Acres Homestead, sending warm end of winter greetings and best wishes your way wherever you happen to be, and I hope you all have been well. This is an early spring of 2023 update for y'all. Just want to keep you abreast of what I'm up to out here on my little off-grid acreage. I plan on doing these as regular video updates in addition to the larger projects and builds that I have constantly in progress. Anyway, out here we're wrapping up the last of winter at about 4,400 feet in elevation, so spring is taking her sweet time getting ready. We've had a number of late winter snow events bringing a lot of moisture to the area. And I don't mind it so much because to me, a wet winter means a greener spring, but it also means a challenging mud season. As you can see, I'm in dire need of some spring cleanup around here. It's so crazy how stuff just builds up and gets out of control during the winter. I'll have to beg your forgiveness because organization was never a strength of mine. A lot of that timber is going to be used in some projects, so should be cleared up here shortly. So with all that out of the way, allow me to show you what I've been up to over the past couple weeks, coming out of winter and into spring, out here at Easy Acres Homestead. Last spring I had a hard time growing anything because of the rodents. So this year I made up myself some of these scarecrow-like devices with a bit of flash and some movement. I'm hoping might keep some of the rodents away. I really like reusing and recycling whatever whenever I can. I love this little wine bottle wind chime thing. I'm hoping the extra noise will help. I already started planting in my hugelkultur cold frame, just some spinach and radish, some of my first cold hardy plants. I'm not expecting all of them to survive planted this early, but I do successive planting, so it should keep me supplied with greens. Water is an excellent thermal capacitor, and I have started storing some of the waste and wash water that I use inside my cold frame. The idea is the water will absorb heat during the day and dissipate at night, and the active compost in the bed will make it substantially warmer on the inside than outside. I really try not to waste anything, especially water. And all that's a mixture of some compost tea, snow melt. It might sound gross, but a bit of clear urine for nitrogen to boost the microbes. A great portion of my compost that I use is horse manure, of which there's no shortage of around here due to our healthy population of feral horses. I go for regular walks with a bucket and I bring a small shovel just to collect any incidental piles I find. Horse manure is known to carry seeds, so if you plan on using it as compost, it should be cooked or sterilized. I found either in black plastic sitting in the sun or simply in a metal bucket cooked over the coals of a fire before adding to the compost pile. You just need it to get hot enough to kill any seeds that are in there. Just dump it on top and, water it down and mix it up. Works great. So around here, the first wildflowers of the year are popping up through the icy, silty soil and these adorable little desert or sagebrush buttercups. You can really almost feel the earth and all of our plants soaking it all in, banking as much of this precious water as possible. Put it away for the dry months ahead. With the start of spring, the ground's finally starting to thaw a little bit, where I can actually dig some post holes for my little pole barn that I'm building. These upright supports are made from some of the smaller pines on my property that were growing a bit crowded and I believe presented a fire danger. I cut them down last summer and roughly squared them off on a couple sides with an axe and a machete. Those hewn beams of yore took a ton of work to produce. Here I'm backfilling the post. I throw a handful of cement down in the hole just to lock things up nice and tight. The soil in this area is a real sticky kind of clay, and this being a dirt floor storage barn, I don't expect too much shifting. That's not going to be expected to bear very much weight. Getting my horizontal supports level is somewhat challenging by myself, but I'm not too worried if it's crooked, so I can tack in a nail, make my adjustments, and tack in another to hold it in place, and that's good enough for me. So long as I get a structure up to store my tools and equipment out of the elements, I'll be real happy. Just kind of verifying that everything's as plumb as I can get it with the bubble level. This project is going to take some time, but it'll go a long way towards decluttering my mess of a homestead. And, it'll be great once I have a permanent place to store everything. Tucking everything underneath tarps isn't going to be a long-term solution for me. That's worked fairly well so far. Let me tell you a little bit about how I get this timber that I harvested off my property and get it ready to use as a pole to build a structure. So in addition to charring the bottom of the pole like you just saw me doing, I also remove as much of the bark as possible to protect the wood from insect attack. The bark's easiest to remove after the tree's cured on the forest floor for about a year, but when they're relatively green like this, it needs some machete time to remove. Finally getting all the main upright supports in the ground, this is a major step to getting the structure up. I plan on using almost entirely lumber that I harvest from my property for it. I wish I had the means to just order a bunch of dimensional lumber and have it delivered all sized up, etc., but part of this lifestyle I find attractive is thinking on your feet and using what you have available to you. It may not be perfect, but a little ingenuity and effort, you can overcome a lot more than you really think you can. It's very exciting for me. I'm finally able to start putting the first of my potatoes in the ground. I'm experimenting with a couple different strains and methods to find out what'll work best for me in this climate and elevation. If I produce a good crop of potatoes, that'll be a huge step towards actual self-reliance. Some of the world's top potato producing regions have a similar climate and rainfall to where I am, so I'm eager to see what'll work. I'm starting on a small scale, but I'll ramp it up if it works well. I'm doing sort of a modified root stout, no work gardening method where I'm mulching heavily with straw to retain moisture, hopefully to keep my spuds nice and thick through the summer. So a couple weeks after planting the hugelkultur cold frame, my spinach and radishes are coming along real nicely. I'm also growing some mache or corn salad, chives, parsley, mizuna, kale, Swiss chard, lots of greens. Growing them in this cold frames allowed me to grow veggies through a couple late spring snows and frosts just fine. I'm also staggering my planting for more consistent, regular harvests. My cool weather growing season is rather short, so I'm doing all I can to extend it as much as possible. I imagine once the summer kicks in and my greens bolt, I'm going to turn everything into the soil, plant again for late summer to keep me in greens through fall and hopefully well into the winter. By then I should be working on my warm weather crops like beans and corn. I gotta tell you, that first salad grown from my own little off-grid garden was a bit of a milestone. My peas are doing really well too. Looking forward to that. Now that we're over the hard freezes, I went ahead and hooked up my little solar infinite bird bath. The bucket acts as a reservoir and the solar pump pumps it up into that basin that I made with a log and some cement. I planted some native wildflowers at the base to make use of the unavoidable splash. I love this thing. The high desert really has a special shade of green when it rains. Here I'm putting in some onion sets, a couple varieties to see which will grow best. As lovely as spring is, it can also be rather fleeting, and around here it's more than capable of sneaking up a late snowstorm on you. You just gotta shift focus, and there's always so much that needs to get done and address what you actually have control over. It doesn't take too much longer, a couple sleeps, clears right up, and you have a whole new set of challenges. We're heading into the dry season, and I'm really looking forward to meeting those challenges, and I hope you all stick around and check it out with me. Until next time, be well, be kind, and most importantly, make sure you be easy.